Well, sincerest apologies for that technical break there, but we are back with the rest of the report. Now, over to neighboring French Cameroon, where the 54th National Day celebration in Maroua descended into violence after clashes erupted between supporters of two opposition political parties during the May 20th parade. The confrontation involved members of the Popular Rally RP led by Salamana Amadou and All Cameroonian Congress ACC headed by Haman Sali, also known as Yerima Dewa. What began as tensions during the official march quickly escalated into street violence with punches thrown, projectiles hurled, and clashes spreading beyond the parade grounds. According to a local newspaper, El Sili de Sahel said more than 30 people were injured in the unrest, including several in serious condition. Most of the victims were reportedly treated at the regional hospital of Maroua. The incident disrupted celebrations meant to promote national unity and peaceful coexistence, raising fresh concerns over political tensions in Cameroon's far north region. Both the RP and ACC were formed following the October 2025 presidential election and included former members of the Cameroonian National Salvation Front, the FSNC, the party founded by former Minister Issa Chiroma Bakare, who is currently living in exile in the Gambia. Speaking to the El Sil du Sahel, ACC regional official Hamadou Boba denied that those involved in the violence were members of his party and said the ACC planned to take legal action against the RP. Reports also indicated that neither party participated in the official rehearsal organized on May 18 ahead of the national celebrations, a detail that has drawn further attention as authorities investigate the circumstances surrounding the violence. Cameroonian authorities have not yet issued an official statement on the clashes, injuries, or possible arrests. Well, that's all we have for you from the home front. Right after the break, we'll head into Africa, where Sierra Leone receives first group of U.S. deportees amid expanded immigration crackdown. Sierra Leone has become the latest African nation to receive deportees from the United States as President Donald Trump expands his administration's immigration enforcement campaign. A plane carrying the first group of migrants arrived Wednesday morning at Freetown International Airport, according to officials and witnesses at the scene. The aircraft landed outside the capital, Freetown, under official supervision. Sierra Leone's Foreign Minister Timothy Musa Cabal confirmed that 9 deportees were received from the United States, revising an earlier government statement that had indicated 25 individuals were expected on the flight. The deportations are part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to accelerate the removal of undocumented migrants and rejected asylum seekers through expanded repatriation agreements with foreign governments. Washington has increasingly sought cooperation from countries across Africa and other regions as it intensifies immigration controls. Authorities have not yet disclosed the identities or nationalities of the deportees, but officials said the individuals would undergo immigration and security processing following their arrival in Sierra Leone. The development is expected to spark debate over Sierra Leone's involvement in international deportation arrangements, particularly regarding the country's capacity to absorb the reintegrate returnees. Human rights groups have previously raised concerns over similar deportation deals involving African nations, citing potential humanitarian and legal challenges faced by deported migrants. The arrival also shows growing diplomatic cooperation between Washington and Freetown on migration management amid the United States' expanding global deportation strategy. Sierra Leonean authorities have not announced whether additional deportation flights are expected in the near future. While we return from the break, We'll head into the globe, where Xi's contrasting summits with Trump and Putin highlights China's delicate global balancing act. The back-to-back visits to China by U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are first striking displays of diplomatic ceremony, but beneath their carefully choreographed optics lays two very different relationships with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Both leaders were welcomed in Beijing with grand state receptions featuring military honor guards, children waving flowers, and formal ceremonies in Tiananmen Square. Yet analysts say the similarities largely ended there. Trump's visit was viewed as an effort by Beijing to stabilize often tense ties between the world's two largest economies amid ongoing dispute over trade, technology, and geopolitical influence. In contrast, Putin's trip focused on strengthening what both governments describe as a strategic partnership between China and Russia. There are more affinity between Putin and Xi, and I think more courtesy between Xi and Trump, said Klaus Zun, an analyst at the Mercator Institute for China Studies in Berlin. According to Sung, the meeting with Russia appeared to produce clearer areas of alignment, while the outcomes of Trump's discussions with Xi remained less certain. Although both visiting leaders publicly referred to Xi as a friend and pledged cooperation with Beijing, the substance and tone of the engagement reflected sharply different diplomatic priorities. The China-Russia summit emphasized political coordination, economic cooperation, and shared opposition to what both governments often describe as Western dominance in global affairs. Beijing and Moscow have steadily deepened ties in recent years through expanded trade, energy partnerships, military cooperation, and coordinated position on major international issues. By contrast, Trump's meeting with Xi appeared armed amid at managing rivalry rather than celebrating partnerships. Relations between Washington and Beijing remain strained over tariffs, Taiwan, semiconductor restrictions, cybersecurity concerns, and broader competition for global influence. Despite the ceremonial warmth displayed during the visit, analysts say underlying tensions continues to shape their relationship. The contrasting summit also highlighted Xi's broader diplomatic strategy as China seeks to maintain stable engagement with the United States while simultaneously reinforcing closer alignment with Russia aimed shifting global power dynamics. For Beijing, balancing these relationships remains critical. The United States remains one of China's most important economic counterparts despite political frictions, while Russia has become an increasingly valuable strategic partner as both nations push back against Western-led alliances and sanctions regimes. The duo's visit underscored how China is attempting to navigate an increasingly polarized international landscape, projecting itself as both a global power capable of engaging Washington and a close geopolitical partner to Moscow. Well, that's it from news across the globe, but before we go, let's give you a highlight of the major stories. On Undaunted, we told you that Ambazonia State Army rejects Ikata execution reports claims victims were civilians. Also tonight, fear and gunfire grips Oku as violence becomes a daily reality. Tonight, we told you that concerns mount over aging CPDM leaderships as officials nod off during National Day celebrations, while over 30 injured as rival opposition supports clash during Cameroon's National Day celebration in Maroua. On the African scene, we told you that Sierra Leone receives first group of U.S. deportees amid expanded immigration crackdown, while on the global scene, Xi's contrasting summit with Trump and Putin highlights China's delicate global balancing act. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. Bringing to the news Untold Stories. On behalf of Barrister Mbeseha and a team of technicians behind tonight's production, it's good night and God bless.